Hi friends and welcome back. Brooke here with another video for the Ugly Art Club's 5-minute challenge. Now, the prompt for day 14 is Biohazard, and I have to say I was stumped with this prompt. So I took to Pinterest and did a little bit of searching to come across some sort of inspiration. I'm putting the photo up on the screen on the left side there that I finally came across that it was like, oh, okay, I can take some inspiration from this. So a couple things that I took the inspiration was the color initially. I love this color, and so it's always going to inspire me. The second thing that I kept seeing pop up is this biohazard type of symbol. And so I thought, okay, I can do something with that. I can go with that bright green chartreusey, almost lime color, and then also with that symbol. So that's one of the ways when I'm a bit stuck and I don't know how to proceed. If something doesn't initially inspire me, or if I'm just sitting in my studio without a prompt and not exactly sure where I want to take it, going to Pinterest, going to Google, searching a few little keywords can really bring up some inspiration for you. And especially when it comes to abstract art, you don't need to take things too realistically. You don't need to do the exact same thing. You're not trying to replicate, you're just taking a little bit of inspiration. So I started out with mixing a couple colors and getting that bright green going on. I mixed in a almost luminous neon yellow with it and some scribble marks, and then I'm going to do a little bit of collage here. So I had ahead of time this marked paper, and it happened to actually be on sticker paper, so it was a perfect way to just stick that on. It already had the adhesive, and now adding in a few little other collage elements. If this is your first time finding me, make sure that you are subscribing so that you can keep up to date with the new videos that I post. I post at least once a week a full tutorial video in mixed media art journaling. And if you have questions about the supplies that I'm using, make sure you check out that description below, as I tried to link everything that I use down there. So just evaluating my page, seeing what else I want to add, adding in a few more scribble marks that go on top of that collage section, just to integrate the background in with the foreground a little bit better. My page is still pretty wet here, and so I'm just drying it a little bit more. Drying time is also great if you need to think a little bit and decide what step to take next. It can be a nice kind of breather moment. Next up, I decided to add in some art marks. I want some of that deep contrast that was like that original photo. I really like the look of that sharp black on top of that lime green color. And so this is a China marker pencil, and adding in those kind of just haphazard little dash dot marks. And now I'm going to use this handmade stencil and draw in some of those circles. I'm not taking it too literally. I don't need it to actually look like the picture in the end. But again, just taking that sort of inspiration, especially on one that I don't have as much initial spark or idea coming for with that prompt. It's okay to keep referring back to what inspired you about it. So just with my hand drawn stencil here, it's kind of fun to recreate that shape a little bit, and going over those lines again just for that more bold look. Now I'll be using some white gesso, and I found a paintbrush and going to gesso in some of that area a little bit. Deciding how much of that collage from underneath I want to show through, kind of giving it like a ghost type appearance, almost translucent-y white, but you still can see through to the colors underneath, which is fun. Some of that green is still a little bit wet, and so it started to mix in, and I actually liked the results of that, so I'm actually going to lean into that a little bit more and dip that brush in with the green, and it has the white on the brush as well. So I just like the shadowy type look that is giving. All right, and that ends my 5 minutes. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the spread. I want to add on that prompt tab, that tag there, and just to give it a little bit of something on the background, I'm putting a little bit more paint down so that it can stand out a little bit more. Picking up some of that paint just so it's not so wet so I can put this down. And carrying up some of those art marks so that they carry into that new area of paint so it doesn't look like it was added just as an afterthought. And just for the sake of time, just going to use my stapler to staple on that little tag. So if you've been following along with this series so far, you know that I am doing a complimentary spread along with this original 5-minute spread. And this is just so that it will all go really nicely in my journal that I'll be making at the end. So we're getting closer to me showing you how I end up putting this all together, and I'm very excited with that process. So you'll want to make sure to watch that when it does come out. So on this complimentary spread, I'm going to do some of the same elements, nothing exactly the same, but adding in some consistency throughout both sides will make it feel a lot more cohesive. And it's that asymmetrical balance that I often talk about, where you're not trying to do the exact same thing, but bringing in some of those elements makes it feel really cohesive and pleasant to look at. So I'm using another handmade stencil. This one's a little bit smaller of a circle, and I'm just gently overlapping some of those lines just to give it that same sort of feel as the 3 circles on the main page. And I'm not going to do it over the entire page, but once again, having some of that repetition, but not necessarily exactly symmetrical. I have leftover paint and paint on my paintbrush, so I'll just bring in some of that color onto this other side as well. And here I'm just deciding whether the page will go kind of on top or bottom. You don't have to decide that right away, but sometimes it does help me decide where I'll be placing different elements, whether I want it heavier on the bottom or the top, whatever the case may be. So I'm just continuing to add that in, blend in that color. I didn't have a full thought out idea for the bottom side or the top on this one. So I'm just kind of winging it, seeing where that goes and bringing in some of those cohesive elements. And I felt like I needed to add in some of those black art marks again on the top. And this will just carry those marks from the bottom all the way to the top, making this feel like it was an intentional spread from beginning to end, rather than making one half and then the other half. Usually when I work in an art journal, I work on the entire spread at once, the left and the right side, or the top and the bottom. But this challenge was a great way for me to do that 5-minute spread and then test myself and see how I could really integrate the same themes from one half to the other. So it was a fun challenge within a challenge for myself here. Adding in those final marks, wanting that Biohazard little tab to stick out just a little bit more, and so using my China pencil still to kind of give a little bit of an outline there. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching, and we have one video left for day number 15, and then we'll get to putting this little book journal together. Have a good one. See you next time.